this thing here. All right, guys. So again, my name is Shay Taylor, and I'm also the CEO of Best Kids in Mount Pleasant Martial Arts, and it will come into the study here in a minute of why I'm letting you know that. But I'm in the business of changing lives, and this is one way that I do this is with our growth mindset. So in front of you, everybody got a paper, yes? Awesome. I require audience participation, so we're gonna have some fun with that. If you need a pen, now is the time to ask your friends and neighbors. I think I have some in my bag if you need one. But y'all get all ready. Awesome. Okay, so how a growth mindset sets you up for success is what we're talking about today. So what kind of mindset do you have? The human brain is an incredible thing capable of changing, creating, learning, adapting, and innovating. We are born to learn, but how we learn how to learn affects us our entire lives. So before fully diving in, we're gonna play a quick game, and your participation again is required. So you can either be mindset A or mindset B. If you look on your sheet, there's two options. Your first choice is just to pick which one you wanna be before you know what it is. All right, if you wanna be mindset A, put a check mark in the A. If you wanna be B, put it in B. Awesome, all right, so the next choice, we gotta listen here. Have you ever said, blank is not my thing? So in my case, it would be spelling, but have you ever put anything in that position, whether it's sports are not my thing, talking's not, people are not my thing, anything in that. If you've ever said that, you're gonna mark mindset A. If you have not, mark mindset B. Nice. All right, next, have you ever thought that this is way out of my comfort zone, but then you decided to do it anyways? This is a mark for mindset B. And then lastly, have you ever believed undoubtedly what someone has said about you, and therefore you never questioned it? Someone told you something, and you just took it and believed it. This would be a mark for mindset A. Which one has more marks? Mindset A or mindset B? So take that in consideration, circle it, whatever you need to do. Mindset A represents a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that you have certain innate abilities that you are born with, and that is that. A mindset that is fixed assumes that character, intelligence, and your creativity are unchanging, and there's nothing that you can do to them that will impact them. Achievement for a fixed mindset is the belief that confirms what you already know about your own traits or your own intelligence. Mindset B represents a growth mindset. This means you thrive on challenge, and you don't see failure as an end result, but as an opportunity to learn and to continue to develop your abilities. Your talents, your intelligence are all susceptible to growth through hard work, good strategies, and input from others. So what we're going to talk today about is how your growth mindset helps you be successful physically, cognitively, socially, and emotionally. So let's start with the physical aspect. Mindset magnifies the benefit of exercise. In 2007, the psychologists Ayla Crum and Ellen Langer studied hotel room attendants whose work involved strenuous activity. 2/3 of the participants originally had the mindset that they're not exercising enough and that their physical work was just normal labor. It's just work. It's not good exercise. They split the participants into groups. Into one group, they went ahead and pointed out that pushing heavy carts, vacuuming, and lifting heavy mattresses qualified as sufficient exercise. These participants showed improvement in weight, blood pressure, and body fat over the course of 4 weeks, when the control group had no change at all. It's pretty interesting to think about. Additionally, a shift in your mindset can help you crave healthier foods. Crum had another study about how restaurants use plain language that don't suggest that their healthy food was very exciting or tasting. But just by using different adjectives that are enticing, traditionally reserved for unhealthy foods, increased vegetable consumption by 41% compared to the standard approach. So it's the difference in saying corn and zucchini and, ooh, we're gonna have some buttery corn and some caramelized zucchini. So the moral is that if you wanna feel satisfied with healthier foods, you have to eat in the mindset of indulgence. So healthy thoughts helps us physically, and it's more than just positive thinking. Growth mindsets have specific impacts. My work is good exercise. I enjoy eating nutritious foods. And the fruit that bears from that mindset is a stronger and a healthier body. So moving forward, we're now going to venture into the cognitive side. I've been eagerly studying Carol Dweck's work. She's a professor of psychology at Stanford University. Oh, I put a in there. And she is known for the work on her motivation and mindset. which she's been working on since the 1970s. She believes that there can be many reasons that a person has either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, but one obvious one is on our way of thinking, and it's because of what we hear from the adults in our life as we grow up. One of her studies, alongside Claudia Mueller, was on fifth graders and how they respond to praises on their effort versus praises for their ability. The experiment showed how a single comment to a child can have at least a temporary effect on them. And the theory that they came up with is that praise for effort tells the child that the process of learning is important, and the reward comes from trying hard. Praises for their ability tells the child that the performance comes from something inside you, might be mysterious, rather than from what you actually do. So according to that theory, and then supported by the results, children who were praised for effort could focus on the process of learning. So failure at hard problems could be seen as a challenge, and even something fun. Failure could motivate them because they had a growth mindset. Dweck's study gives us hope, because cognitively, we can learn how to develop that growth mindset. It is within reach, and I've personally seen this in my own business. We have students come in all the time that are shy, and the only reason they act shy is because they've been told it so many times, and it's mainly by their parents who are telling them this. It becomes a part of who they are, so we tell them a different story. They are confident, they are capable, and they are brave. But we also treat them with the expectation that they're not going to let us down in being confident and capable and brave. And what do you know? They start telling themselves a different story as well. They are no longer shy, and they no longer act that way either. They think how they change, or they change how they think, so they changed how they behaved. The relationship between thought and behavior overflows into all areas of our lives. So next we're going to do our social and emotional. These will come by pretty quick. So having a growth mindset can help you recognize and understand emotions better, how to care for others, how to navigate challenging situations. And with relationships, you're able to establish them and maintain positive ones through clear communication, active listening, and conflict resolution and cooperation. You also have better, healthier awareness, self-management, which is self-discipline, and social awareness. So when do we start normally developing and recognizing these traits? When we are children. But don't fret, you can still develop them now. It's not when you learn, it's how you learn it. So let's talk about a kid who says math is not my thing. This kid scored poorly on a math test, became angry and embarrassed, and decided to give up on math. They believe that it's really not their thing, so they stopped paying attention to it and continued to underperform. This stems from a fixed mindset, and it comes from them not understanding their own emotions. But how are they supposed to understand it if they don't have someone else who understands it enough to point it out? So if embarrassment and anger had been addressed in the moment that it had happened, they could have recovered from that setback and made improvements instead of completely counting it out. So with a growth mindset, the child who scored poorly can acknowledge that with just a little time and effort, they can improve their skills. So in other words, they're not inherently bad at it. Instead, they have room to grow. So after hearing all of this, I want you to look back down at your paper in the game we played earlier. Do you think the mindset that you have is the one you ended up with on the game? My answer to you is that you definitely have a fixed mindset in areas of your life, but you may also have growth mindset in others. Everyone is a mixture of both fixed and growth mindsets, and that a mixture continually evolves with our experiences. A pure growth mindset does not exist, and it's often hindered to what is known as a limiting belief. So there's one more exercise I want us to do together. We're going to acknowledge some of these limiting beliefs. This is what is providing the foundation for the fixed mindsets in your life. A limiting belief is a state of mind or a belief about yourself that restricts you in some way and is created when something has happened to you, and then we take it as an absolute. Let's take that phrase, blank is not my thing. I told you earlier that spelling is in that category for me. It's not my thing. This is my limiting belief. For me to have growth in this area in my life, I must address the emotion behind the reason I believe this. When I was in second grade, we had spelling tests that were 10 words long, right? They were pretty easy, and then they weren't, but I was pretty good at making 100 on every single one of them until I didn't. The first bad grade I got was a 20, which meant that I had 2 words correct on that paper. I was so embarrassed, I quickly flipped over my paper because I didn't want to look at it anymore. But one of the other kids saw it before I did that, and they made a big deal out of me not making 100 like I always did. I was picked on and ridiculed because my grades were not good. Later, when I got home, I showed it to my mom. And instead of receiving love and comfort, I received, "I cannot believe you failed this. You should have done better." So at this point, I no longer believed that I was good at spelling. And I continued to approach the idea of it with fear from then on. This held me back for years. I mean, I even recently, or actually probably within the last few weeks, have said, "Oh, not me, I'm not the speller. I'm just not good at it." So now that I have acknowledged that I have been limiting myself to a fixed mindset in this area, I can start to change it. When we face challenges, receive criticism, or fare poorly compared with others, we can become insecure and defensive. And all of that prevents our growth. I don't have to let this hold me back anymore. To get to or to remain in the growth zone, we must identify the work and work with these triggers, these limiting beliefs. So my question to you is, where do you have limiting beliefs in your life? Where is your mindset fixed in different areas? So one thing to remember from all of this is that you can change your mindset. It can be the difference in having an effective response to a challenge rather than just avoiding it. Also know that your mindset right now is the result of many years of shaping and forming how you've handled experiences in your life. So it's not just going to change overnight, or not just going to change with the decision of me going, "I'm no longer fixed." You do have to work at it, but a growth mindset is achievable. So I'm going to end with this phrase, which is a formula for success. And it's be, do, have. Who do I have to be, and what would that person do to have the success that I want? I'm going to repeat that. Who do I have to be, and then what would that person do to have the success I want? And then you just step into that mindset and allow yours to grow. Thank y'all for having me today. Do you have any questions?
We have a few minutes for questions, so not all at once, one at a time.
It's okay. That means I was super clear and concise. Y'all got every detail of it, all right?
That's what I've learned in class.
I do have a
There we
quick
go.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
As you're working with these young people, how long does it kind of take for you to actually see some results? Where they come in very bashful, very shy, very withdrawn, how quickly can you begin to see when you give them this positive reinforcement?
Great question. So I was actually talking to one of the other ladies in here a minute ago, and so if I have a kid who comes in shy, also depending on their age group, but one of the most recent ones that I've had come into my martial arts classes, he came in hiding behind his parent. And as he came in, she's like, "Oh, he's shy, and immediately we're like, "Oh man, how are you doing?" And we just fill him up with this excitement. And she told me within the first 6 months, which is one of our big goals, that he was already talking and addressing people with eye contact. He was continuing to step up and introduce himself to people. And now he's been with me for 4 to 5 years, and he just tested for his black belt. But he is able to step up and lead in front of his peers groupings like this. So within a 3 years time span, he turned from being completely shy to super outgoing and confident in who he was. But the biggest points that the mom was saying was like, he made eye contact after 6 months. It was a huge investment because we were investing in his life to tell him a different story. So thank you. Anybody else? Awesome. I am more than welcome to chat with you about limiting beliefs. Like, we can knock that out too to the side. All right. Thank you so much.